So today I want to talk to you about something that most men completely misunderstand, and that is how attraction actually works. Not the surface level stuff, not the tips you see on every other channel. I am talking about something deeper, something rooted in one of the most powerful books ever written about human nature, The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. Now before you click off, hear me out. Machiavelli was not just writing about politics. He was writing about power, about human psychology, about why people follow certain individuals and ignore others. And when you take his principles and apply them to attraction, something remarkable happens. Everything starts to make sense. So today I am going to walk you through 5 signs that a woman is genuinely attracted to you. And more importantly, I am going to tell you exactly what Machiavellian principle is behind each sign and how to position yourself so that these signs appear naturally in your life. No games, no tricks, just a deep understanding of how human nature actually works. Let us get into it. Sign number 1. She tests you, repeatedly. Now most guys, when a woman tests them, they have no idea it is even happening, and that is exactly why they fail. Here is what testing looks like in real life. She cancels plans an hour before you were supposed to meet. She says something slightly critical about something you care about. She goes cold for a day or two and just stops responding the way she normally does. She brings up a challenging topic to see how you handle pressure. She is distant at a party where other men are present. Every single one of those is a test. And she is not doing it to be cruel. She is doing it because her brain, operating on a level far below conscious thought, is trying to answer one question. Is this man solid? Can he handle pressure? Or will he fall apart the moment things get uncomfortable? Machiavelli called this quality virtus, and he was very clear. The prince who could not be shaken, who remained composed and warm and grounded even when the world was pushing against him, was the prince who earned genuine respect and loyalty. Not just compliance, genuine respect. So when she tests you, here is what you do. You do not get defensive. You do not panic. You do not send her 15 messages asking what is wrong. You respond with total, unshakable ease. She cancels last minute. You say, "No problem, let me know when you are free," and then you go live your life with zero visible anxiety. She says something critical. You smile. You hold your ground gently, and you move on. You do not collapse, and you do not attack. You simply remain yourself, anchored, present, unbothered. And I promise you, that response, that calm, confident, slightly amused composure, is more attractive to a woman than any compliment you could ever give her, because it shows her that you passed. It shows her that you are solid, and solid men are rare, which means they are enormously valuable. Sign number 2. She finds reasons to be around you without ever asking directly. This one is subtle, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. She suggests a group activity that she knows you will be at. She happens to be at the same coffee shop. She engineers a conversation that naturally leads to the two of you spending time together. She is not asking you out. She is not being obvious, but she is creating circumstances, quietly, consistently. This is what Machiavelli called strategic scarcity, working in your favor. And here is the principle behind it. People value what is rare. A king who is always accessible becomes ordinary, familiar, and familiarity in the context of attraction kills desire. But the prince who controls his appearances, who is fully magnificently present when he is there, and then genuinely disappears back into his own world, that prince becomes an event. His presence means something. His arrival changes the atmosphere of a room. Now here is the critical thing. This does not mean being cold. It does not mean playing hard to get in some obvious, transparent way. What it means is having a life, a real, full, compelling life that you are genuinely more invested in than in chasing anyone's approval. It means being completely present with her when you are together, warm, attentive, genuinely engaged, and then stepping back into your world without apology. Because here is what she is reading in that behavior. She is reading that you are chosen, not choosing blindly. That your time and attention carry weight, because they are not given to everyone who asks, and that being with you means something, because you are a man who has standards for how he spends his life. When you embody that genuinely, and I want to stress genuinely, because performing it while actually being anxious underneath does not work, women can feel the difference. She will start seeking your presence without asking, because being around you feels like something worth seeking. Sign number 3, she laughs before you even finish the sentence. This one is my favorite, because it tells you everything. When a woman laughs before your joke is finished, she is not responding to the content of what you said. She is responding to you, to your energy, to the emotional field you carry with you wherever you go. She has, in the deepest sense, lowered her guard. She is open. She is present. She is enjoying the experience of being in your orbit. Machiavelli believed that the most powerful rulers were those who could command the emotional atmosphere of a room without forcing it. Not through authority or pressure, but through the simple fact of who they were. Their ease was contagious. Their warmth spread without effort. And the people around them naturally began to mirror their state, relaxing, opening, feeling better than they did before they walked in. This is emotional command. And the path to it is not about being funnier. A lot of guys hear this and think, okay, I need better jokes. That is not it. The path to emotional command is becoming so genuinely comfortable in your own skin that your presence itself carries a relaxing, energizing charge. And that comes from doing the work, real work, having meaningful goals you are pursuing, having genuine friendships, taking care of your body, developing your mind, building a sense of self that does not depend on anyone else's approval to stay standing. When you have those things, your humor becomes natural, because you are genuinely at ease. Your warmth becomes authentic, because you have nothing to protect. Your playfulness becomes contagious, because it is coming from a real place inside you. And women who are extraordinarily sensitive to the difference between what is real and what is performed will feel that difference the moment you walk into the room. She will laugh before you finish the sentence, not because you are clever, because you are genuinely the most at ease person she has been around in a long time. Sign number 4. She notices when you are not there. This one requires a little patience to understand, but it is one of the most powerful signs there is. You know the way a room feels different when the music stops. You were not actively focusing on the music, but when it is gone, there is a quality of absence, a difference, a lack. That is what this sign feels like from her perspective. When you are not in the room, something is slightly less charged, slightly less interesting, and she notices. Machiavelli wrote about something he called invisible influence, the idea that the most powerful rulers did not need to be present for their influence to shape the behavior of those around them. Their reputation, their remembered presence, their principles, these continued to operate even in their absence. They had become part of the emotional landscape of the people around them. And you cannot remove something from a landscape without the landscape changing. Now here is the thing about this sign that most men get completely backwards. They think the way to make a woman miss you is to be less available, and so they go cold, they disappear, they stop engaging, and what that creates is not longing, it is confusion, because she was never truly present with someone who made her feel anything real. You cannot miss what you never truly experienced. The way to trigger this sign is the opposite of what most men think. It is to be more genuinely present when you are with her, not more available, more present. Give her your full attention, ask questions that go below the surface, share your real thoughts without performing or posturing. Notice small things about her that others miss. Be the kind of person whose presence in a room genuinely changes the room. Presence of that quality is incredibly rare. Most people are only halfway there in any given moment. Part of their attention is on their phone, their self-image, their next thing. A man who can be fully, truly present is offering something most people never receive. And what is rarely received is powerfully remembered. So build the quality of your presence first. Then the natural rhythm of your full life will create the scarcity, and she will feel the difference when you are gone, because she felt something real when you were there. Sign number 5. She talks about you to her friends. And I do not mean in a gossip way. I mean, she brings you up. She mentions something you said. She references you in a conversation that had nothing to do with you originally. Your name appears in her social world in a way that feels organic and natural and frequent. This is the final sign. And in Machiavellian terms, it is the one that tells you your reputation has taken root. Machiavelli spent a significant portion of The Prince discussing reputation. And his central argument was this: a prince who controlled his reputation controlled something more durable than any army, more flexible than any law, more powerful than direct command. Because reputation operated in rooms the prince was not in. It shaped how people treated him before they had even met him. It multiplied his influence beyond anything he could achieve through direct effort alone. When a woman talks about you to her friends, she is doing two things simultaneously. She is spreading your reputation in her social world, and she is deepening her own emotional investment in you. Because this is a psychological truth that research consistently confirms. The act of expressing a feeling intensifies that feeling. When you say something out loud, you crystallize it. You give it form and weight and reality. Every time she says your name to a friend, she is reinforcing your presence in your emotional world. She is, without realizing it, convincing herself of your value through the act of describing it. So how do you become the kind of man worth talking about? Not through flashiness, not through performing. The man who is genuinely worth discussing is the man who is distinctively himself. He has strong opinions. He can articulate clearly. He has a life philosophy he actually lives by. He has stories that reveal his character in unexpected ways. He has moments of depth that surprise the people around him because they did not expect it. That distinctiveness comes from one thing and one thing only: genuine self-development. The man who has invested seriously in understanding who he is, what he values, and what he is building in the world, that man naturally stands out, because most men have done none of that work. They are, emotionally and philosophically, interchangeable, and interchangeable men are not discussed, they are forgotten. So here is where we land: 5 signs, 5 Machiavellian principles, and one central truth, connecting all of them. The signs we talked about today: her testing you, seeking your presence, laughing in your energy, noticing your absence, and talking about you to others. None of these can be manufactured through tactics. You cannot perform your way into them. You cannot trick your way into them. They are the natural byproduct of becoming a genuinely compelling man. Machiavelli's deepest insight was not about power as a goal. It was about the relationship between internal mastery and external influence. A prince who was internally disordered, anxious, reactive, needing approval to feel okay, would always struggle. No strategy could compensate for that kind of chaos inside. But a prince who had achieved genuine self-mastery, who was anchored, clear, decisive, warm, and completely at ease in his own skin, found that influence came naturally. He did not pursue power. Power organized itself around him. That is what you are building, not a set of tricks. A self. A genuine, solid, purposeful self that moves through the world with quiet confidence and real warmth. When you build that man, the 5 signs will appear on their own. You will not be looking for them. They will simply be there. That is the Machiavellian playbook. That is the work. And now you know where to begin.